Hey everyone, we're back and we're going to be talking about another episode of My Life as a Teenage Robot. This time we're looking back at Shell Game, the debut of the Silver Shell. These Silver Shell episodes make me feel a little gross, so let's rip off the bandage and jump right in. Oh hey, John Fountain directed and storyboarded this episode. We actually had the chance to talk to him about his time on My Life as a Teenage Robot, so you should check out that video. Enough self-advertising. We start the episode with Sheldon stalking Jenny. We're off to a good start already. He's just kind of following her stealthily. This might seem harmless, but imagine if someone did this to you. It's really creepy. I do admit that I love his over-the-top bottle opener. When he pulls it out, it looked like he was trying to murder Jenny. Pretty surface-level joke, but I thought it was really funny anyways. His convoluted plan was to throw the bottle cap at Jenny, make her turn around, and then open the door for her. I seriously can't believe I said he'd be better boyfriend material back in 2018. I'm glad that Jenny has started to get used to Sheldon's creepy advances at this point. She's clearly still annoyed with it, but there's a sad acceptance to it. Sheldon isn't being extra weird today for no reason. Nope, he's trying to invite Jenny to the grand opening of the reptile house. I really appreciate that he wasn't trying to invite her to a dance. That would have been a lot more generic in my opinion. Well, not yet at least. Sheldon knocks himself out, and Jenny actually shows concern for his well-being. This is a sweet gesture, but knowing Sheldon's intentions and methods, I just end up feeling bad for Jenny. As soon as Sheldon uses the word date to describe his little lizard quest, Jenny evacuates. This can't deter her favorite pest. He proceeds to harass her about it all day long. He doesn't stop until Jenny basically tells him to fuck off. A lot of women are put into situations where they have to tell a man that they're just not interested in them as boyfriend material. Jenny is put in this uncomfortable situation, and she tells Sheldon that she's only interested in dating robot boys. We know that this isn't true, but I think that she was just trying to ease Sheldon off of her as delicately as possible. This is starting to make me wonder if Sheldon is a redeemable character at all. This isn't going to be the worst thing he's going to do to Jenny. No, we're covering that in the latter half of Season 2. We've seen that he has good intentions in Ear No Evil, but this is almost like he's become worse than he was in Attack of the 5.5-Foot Geek. Sheldon's cruel statements ruin Jenny's mood, to the point where she doesn't even get enjoyment out of lassoing a huge robotic bull. This all changes when the Silver Shell appears, a big, masculine robot. Jenny immediately falls in love with him, knowing absolutely nothing about him. I really like the comedic timing of some of the action in this sequence. The Silver Shell is actually pretty pathetic when it comes to fighting the bull, and Jenny has to defeat it instead. The most interesting dynamic in this episode is how Jenny is put in Sheldon's shoes. The Silver Shell is cold and distant, he doesn't express interest in Jenny, but she's still madly in love. Obviously, Jenny doesn't stalk the Silver Shell or anything extreme like that, but she's still hyper-fixated on him. When she explains her crush to Sheldon, he's clearly frustrated. He tries his hardest to convince Jenny that the Silver Shell is cruel and heartless, but you can't change the mind of a hormonal teenage robot. She meets the Silver Shell again, but he still doesn't show any interest in her. He ignores her until she mentions that she'd like to take him on a date to the reptile house, the same place Sheldon tried to take her on a date. He has the same response that Jenny had when she told Sheldon that she didn't want to go, but Jenny remained convinced that he would show up. At the reptile house, Jenny is left waiting outside. She gets a tap on the shoulder, but it's just Sheldon. He lets her know that the Silver Shell probably won't show up, and that he only really appears at the scenes of crimes. So Jenny does what we would all do, and she releases some of the reptiles. Most of them are harmless, but the most evil snake I've ever seen accidentally gets released as well. The snake looks pissed off, But I probably would be if I was living in a box that's barely bigger than I am. Desperately wanting the silver shell to show up and save the day, she lets the snake suffocate Sheldon. Once the reality sets in that he won't be showing up, she jumps in and saves him. She can't straight up kill the snake, it's a protected species. Makes sense, he must be one of those rare flying snakes. It's no problem, she deals with the snake how every other cartoon deals with comically oversized snakes. Even after he didn't show up, Jenny is still in love with the silver shell. Sheldon explains to Jenny that she doesn't even know him, and that he might not even be a robot. Pretty hypocritical coming from him. The idea of the silver shell being a fake robot breaks Jenny's heart. Well, as we know, Sheldon has been operating the silver shell the entire time. He was the one inflicting all of this pain onto Jenny. The silver shell's purpose was to show Jenny how bad robot boys are, so she could fall in love with Sheldon, knowing there's no better option. Now Sheldon will always have his alter ego overshadowing him, similar to the struggle of superheroes. The difference is that superheroes don't create their alter egos just to get the girl. I'm in a strange position where I'm not sure whether to love or hate this episode. I think it's a really good concept with a great execution, but it's so uncomfortable that I really don't want to revisit it again. I have so much respect for the people who work on this show, and if their intention was to make this episode incredibly uncomfortable, they succeeded. Jenny and Sheldon are both very unlikable in this episode, for similar reasons too. Much like the movie Good Time, I deeply respect this episode, but it's just too much for me. How do you guys feel about Shell Game? More importantly, do you think that Sheldon is a redeemable character? Tell us all about it in the comments below. I've been your narrator, Andre. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a rating. If you want to reach us, leave a comment. Or check out our other platforms. Links are in the description.